Greetings, Dean. Nice to see you. Nice day today. Here in the city of Toronto, it is Thursday. We're a day away from the Jays starting a 3-game wild card series.
Oh, yeah,
against
you
the
got
Seattle
Jays
Mariners.
fever.
I got it bad.
Look
I got
out.
fever, and the only prescription is Blue Jays baseball. Oh, yeah. No, I'm
Cause
excited.
and
dude.
effect.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be fun. Blue Jays start tomorrow, 4:07, 3-game series against Seattle at home. Robbie Ray versus Alek Manoah. We're going to chat about that a little bit later on.
Ooh.
There is nothing like we talked about it with Ray. We got a big
That's a
show
good-
to do.
that's a
But
good
just quick
battle.
little stop down before we get started. We talked about it yesterday with Ray. You weren't here, Locke, because you were busy taking wood deliveries, and we were talking about the Blue Jays. There's nothing like it. Ryan, you've been around in a playoff fever pitch. You
Yes,
know
sir.
what this city's like. I'm fucking stoked.
It's a different vibe. It's just a different frequency. Toronto,
right.
the entire time that the Jays are in postseason, every single time.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well,
Yeah.
you guys are
It's not-
lucky
it's
too
like- it's
because
not even like
you've
the
got
Leafs.
such a perennial successful hockey team that makes
Yep.
it into the playoffs all the time and has like on a regular basis goes on a run. So you guys know, you guys get it.
It didn't even take 2 minutes to get him there. Here
Yeah, I
he
don't
is.
even care. No,
Well,
but
and according to most of the media this year leading up to the new season,
Yeah.
out of all the Canadian teams,
yeah,
hands down, the Toronto Maple Leafs have the best chance of winning a Stanley Cup.
not even close.
mean-
But that's what
Oh,
the
yeah.
media will tell you. They'll tell you that because they lie, dude. I'm on your team. You don't have to come here with your hot takes trying to take us and Maple Leaf Nation down. We don't give a shit. We laugh. Like Lindsay and I think it's funny every time the Leafs get pumped in Game 7 in the first round. It's the best. It's like fuck. Okay, we got more stuff to talk about. And
Is that
trolling
5
those
straight
people-
appearances to the
that's 5
playoffs?
straight- Yeah, but I'm not
So,
talking about them right now.
We're
It's
going
not,
for 6.
Yeah, I know. And if it gets to 6, fucking even better. I don't care. But what
Yeah.
I'm telling you is that it doesn't even matter where you are in Edmonton. That run the Oilers went on into the conference final. The vibe in the city, as nice as it might have been, I don't know, I wasn't there, doesn't come close to comparing. If you haven't been to a Blue Jays playoff game, look the fuck out.
Yeah.
It is electric. You got 50,000 freakazoids, and the sound is guttural. Like I was actually at the Blue Jays last playoff series. I've been to almost every single one of them. 2015, 2016. I was at the Bautista game. You can't explain the guttural noise that came out of those people. It was like all the release of 22 years of failure, and then on top of that, you had the Leafs and you had the Raptors and their failure up until that point too. And you're like,
Yeah.
fuck! It was just this like. It was almost like the entire city jizzed at the same time. It was like, and I've never seen anything like it. Did he just decided to bump
He's
out?
tired of it. He doesn't want to hear about Toronto sports anymore, I guess. No, you're right. And Ray actually said something yesterday that I didn't even think of until he said it, and he's right. You ever watched that? If you were watching it on TV, the cameras shake. It's so there's so much energy and electricity going on in that. It's just such a cool feeling.
It's incredible. It's dude, it's the best. So they're going to start tomorrow, 4:07 p.m. Just to kind of let you in on the skinny, 4:07 p.m. We've got first pitch, and then 4:07. Everybody used to get pissed at the early times. Don't worry about the early times. Doesn't matter that they're not in prime time. What matters is that they're happening and they're at home, which is great. You got your crew. I think it's Buck and Tabby that are going to be calling the games, which is great. But it's a 2-game series. You got Manoah, you got Gaussman. If it has to go to Game 3, it might. They match up well pitching. Both bullpens match up pretty well. I would give the advantage to Toronto's lineup if they all play the way they can play. So, fuck, I'm excited. Anyway, I just wanted to drop that in. I also wanted to point this out before we get started because we got some heavy shit to get to today. Hockey Canada, no bueno. You can't cover up 40 years of sex assaults and then get called on the carpet in front of a nation and then lie your dicks off and destroy an entire organization. And
But hold on, I thought they got an A.
No, they didn't get an A. Andrea Skinner gave her the A, their lawyer who they sent to the fucking wolves. But that's another story. Also, Pierre Poilievre using secret hashtags to communicate with all the fucking incels. It's the best. We'll talk about that in a second. But before we get going, you guys ever take a bathroom selfie? You ever do the old one where you're in the mirror? It's a big public bathroom, and you take a selfie, duck lips. You ever do that? You guys no? Walk? You ever done it?
No.
Like that? You ever do that? No.
I'm not a big this is
selfie
going to
guy?
come as a surprise to you. Not a big selfie guy.
No, I understand that. I'm not either. I can't think of the last time I took a picture of myself in front of a mirror. Probably never.
Never.
If I did, it was just to see if this thing on my face was growing. That was the only reason I took a picture of any part of me. However, I'm into bathroom selfie videos after watching this. Watch this with me. Watch this with me. I forgot that
this is not me in the bathroom, by the way.
Well, we don't know that.
We're saying it was me.
No, we
can't prove that.
It might be. This woman who's like doing a bathroom selfie. Maybe she was going to take the picture from the selfie. I'm not too sure from the actual video. But I forgot that things are going on in the bathroom while people are taking selfies. I had no idea. Let's watch this together.
She looks scared. She looked scared.
There we go. Looks good. Yeah. Oh.
Better get out of here before that sticks to my hair.
Mine would have been way more aggressive.
That was a lady's bathroom, dude. Of course yours would.
And there would have been a bit of eye afterwards, too.
Oh, my God. And I was watching that. I'm like, our farts are always going to be funny to me.
Always.
Like, they never won't be funny. We put up another fart thing this week.
That's a vegan dump. Yeah,
I'm telling you.
If you're spraying, that's
PR
vegan.
says that's a triple bomber. Boom, boom, boom. Quite the better out than in, Ashley says. And DeCosta's like, yeah, that is a vegan dump. Good call. But we put that out, and I got inundated with people who are like, that's not funny. You shouldn't be putting farts on the internet.
What?
Like,
oh, fuck off.
Are you kidding me? Farts are the best. Farts are always funny. Farts will never not be funny. We advocate for the right thing. We're intellectual. We're academic. We try to fucking take that. But listen, there is always time for a well-placed fart joke and fart video.
And it crosses cultures. It crosses language barriers. Absolutely. It crosses the world. I don't care. You can find an uncontacted tribe, and I guarantee you, the guy is behind the tree, lifts his little grass skirt up, and takes a dump, and somebody hears it. They're like, That's right. Guaranteed.
We're all the same. Doesn't matter. All caught.
Yep.
Like this video that we put out the other day. I took heat on it. I didn't even put it out. It was Rookie. He put it out because it's called the Turd Tornado, and it's a move that happens apparently down in the States. Probably happens here with a bunch of incels. Doesn't matter. But what I can tell you is I fucking laughed my ass off. I thought this was very funny. Now, some people when we put it out also said what we did is we promoted noxious assault of people, and I'm like, no, it's just a fart. Relax. Let's watch it.
Turdy Tornado. Oh, excuse me.
This guy's funny. I've seen his videos.
Turdy Tornado. Oh, excuse me.
It's always funny. The Turd Tornado made me laugh my ass off. I watched that probably 40 times in a row.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't stop laughing. And I can't tell you, dude, it's not an academic humor. It's not an intellectual humor. It's not profound. It's not philosophical. He farts. I laugh. It's over. That's all it is.
The body wouldn't have make that sound if it wasn't supposed to be funny.
You're right. Exactly. You're right.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
In radio
Science.
and in broadcasting, if I farted right now, you probably would not hear it. And I don't know if you remember back, and there's patterns on mics and things that allow you to sort of get away with, like, I'm 6'4". We have a standing board. I can drop ass at work while I'm on the air and you're not going to hear it. But Jimmy, and it took me a while. I've been working with Jimmy and he's a little person. Jimmy will fart and we'll hear it on the mics. And
it's a shorter distance.
It's always funny. Tell me it's not always funny.
It's always funny, but we're always trying to figure out why we could hear it, right? And we finally figured it out. Is because his ass is so much closer to his face than ours, right? Because he's a little person.
His face is also closer to your ass than anybody else too. Yeah, I've seen the two of you side by side. Dean had his own ass mic at the edge. For Christ's sake, he had a mic on a boom.
Yeah.
Beside him.
It was the best. And it's funny because I was at that stage of my career where I could do whatever I wanted and they'd have to go, whatever, I guess. Right. So I'm like, can you put a microphone in there on the left-hand side? Right-hand side. So I can just reach down and put it near my ass. And the engineer, this guy named John, he's like, why? I'm like, butt mic, dude. I'm tired of taking my microphone off and putting it next to my ass because I got to touch it. He goes, what do you mean butt mic? I go, I fart on the air all the time. And he's like, is that what I hear sometimes? I go, yeah. He goes, and then you just keep talking? Is that how it works? I go, yeah, it's the best. It's like laying a audio landmine for people. No one knows what's going on. So literally for 14 years, I had a microphone next to me just called the butt mic. And what I would do when I would feel it coming, I would stick it down there as I was talking and I'd let the ham fly. And then I put it back and you would have people emailing and this is just at the start of Twitter tweeting you. Did I just hear a fart? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I must have greased one 10 times a week on that radio program, and nobody said a word. It just kind of kept going. That's the whole point. Because farts are always
they're funny. They're funny.
Always. Like, it's not a fetish. Like, and actually, I will say they stop being funny when you smell them. That's when they become offensive.
Yeah.
But the noises themselves, like I've heard the noise, laughed, then smelt it, and gotten instantly angry, which I know is a terrible thing to do. Mixed messaging all over.
No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
No.
What? Just the offensiveness of the smell?
No, it's not. You're not in. It's not. It's not wrong of you to get angry, especially if you are surrounded by somebody that can actually, like, again, I hate to keep bringing Jimmy up, but Jimmy, the little bastard, when he shits his pants, it stays with you. I've had to change clothes. I've had to come home from work.
I don't believe that. I know you've said that. I don't believe that his farts have made your clothes smell. I don't believe that.
It sticks to you.
Yeah, remember when Locke was in Toronto, we made him call Grant. Remember, he called Grant when we were sitting in the restaurant because we didn't believe him, and Grant confirmed it.
Do I need to call Grant again?
No. I get it. I forgot. Sorry, my bad. I don't mean to call
you. Dude. No. Grant has got the same problem. Like, and you will taste his shit in your mouth all day too. It's the worst. It's the worst, and it's this chalky thing. It sticks to you.
Chalky. I love that.
You don't know how else to explain it. And if you were around it, if you're around it, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Well, I will always find them humorous. Doesn't matter what it is until I smell it, and then I get angry. I'm the same way. Have
you ever been to a? Either of you guys had an actual colonoscopy yet?
No.
Have you ever been in a colonoscopy?
I've rummaged around in there myself a few times. Haven't found anything. But
okay. Well, let me tell you something. I had my
not just your hand.
My father-in-law. This was a few years ago. I had to go pick him up. He had to have one because he's up there, right? So they were doing a colonoscopy on him, and I had to pick him up. But they put you under for it, so you have to go in a recovery room on the gastrointestinal floor. With a bunch of other people in beds who are also recovering.
There's a gastrointestinal floor in the hospital?
Yeah.
Oh, what a
floor. Now listen, this is what I'm going to tell you. So you go into this room, and when they're in the recovery, you can sit in the chair with them while you're waiting for them to kind of come to. And one of the tickets out after you come to is you got to fart. You got to be able to pass wind so that they'll let you out. That means they know things are working.
Yeah. There's no blockage.
It's a fucking symphony because there's 40 other people in recovery beds, and I'm bent over, tears in my fucking eyes, laughing, and I'm looking. The nurses are all just kind of doing their thing, and I looked. How is this not fucking hilarious to you? They're like, it kind of was in the beginning, but we're used to it now. I'm like, I can't stay here. I can't because I feel bad laughing at everybody. So.
No. Yeah, that's when you grab your audio version. That's when you turn on your phone and you start recording. That's what.
This was before I knew. This is before I was part of this podcast. If I was part, believe me.
Yeah. Anyway,
I would have been there.
Just wanted to bring that up this morning. There's a lot of talk about farts, and I just wanted to let everybody know I'm firmly on Team Fart. Never haven't been. Doesn't matter how academic or smart anybody thinks they are. They're on the same team too.
I agree.
And if anybody says that the third tornado video or the lady doing the bathroom fart selfie isn't funny, they don't have a sense of humor. Don't even trust them. I would never trust anybody that doesn't find farts funny. Never, never, never. Anyway, lots of stuff to get to. Do want to make sure that that everybody understands that we're firmly not on team institution today. We're on team fart, not on team institution. Couple institutions that we want to get to. One of them is Hockey Canada. This is a big deal, and the reason why it's a big deal is because this isn't just about one incident. This isn't just about one problem. This isn't just about one group of kids or one group of executives. Over the past couple of months, and it's disgusting and it's embarrassing, specifically because we hang our hats on hockey as our identity. Over the past couple of months, different terrible scenarios that have played out with Hockey Canada have come to light. And they've spanned about 40 years. We're centering on a couple of different ones, one in Halifax, I believe, in the early 2000s, and then one in 2018 in London, both of which were, in our turn, gang rapes of young ladies by players that played.
There's another one, too.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. Three? There's three now, gang rape institutions. There's 9 different settlements with 21 different people. $9 million, 21 different settlements over the past, I think, 40 years as we're kind of piecing this together. I could be right or wrong or off by a year, off by $1 here or there. But the latest, which has kind of come up, has been the one that has really kind of opened everything up. Now, Hockey Canada has gone a long way to taking money from kids' registration fees to create sexual assault and injurious slush funds called the National Equity Fund and the Legend Fuck You Fund. It doesn't even matter what the funds are called. They lied about both of them. Both of them have since been uncovered. Over the past couple of days, they had emergency hearings. Hockey Canada President Andrea Skinner, who used to babysit my kids, lives just down the street, was in front of the House of Commons in a special committee the other day where she said she gives Hockey Canada an A+ in dealing with these sexual assaults over the years, and that nobody can manage this scandal better than the people who helped cover all these scandals up by paying off these young women who had been gang raped by a whole bunch of people over the past 40 years. So, to that point, today is D-Day. Every single major sponsor of Hockey Canada has pulled out. Every single sponsor.
Timmy's,
single
Scotiabank.
one. Yeah.
Canadian Tire.
Canadian Tire. Rick Westhead, who does a great job for TSN and reporting and this stuff, said Canadian Tire permanently ended its relationship with Hockey Canada. That was on the back of a few other ones. Tim Hortons today officially announced Hockey Canada won't be sponsoring the men's program at all. They're going to continue to support women's, para, and youth hockey. Not done there. This is from Scott Reed. Tim, Scotiabank, Chevrolet, TELUS, Canadian Tire, all gone. Wonder if Hockey Canada chair Andrea Skinner would still grade the handling of the crisis with an A. Total case study in crisis comms. And particular challenge of a client who wanted to fight back, which is really a great statement. This was Hockey Canada saying, no, we're going to fight back. We're going to try and keep our jobs, and we're going to pretend that we don't give a shit about anything other than taking this thing forward. What they did in the process, they told an entire country, we stole your fucking kids' hockey registration fees to pay for sexual assault settlements of our players who we helped hide those sexual assaults and not make accountable through gang raping a whole bunch of people over the years, and we don't care. That's what they're saying. That's what they said the other day. It's what Andrea Skinner kind of intimated when she was on the stand. That's what they're trying to get across, is that these people, if they leave, Hockey Canada is going to buckle. Well, it's buckled. They are bankrupt. They have no money. They have no sponsorship. It is all gone. Not on top of that, and this is
provinces. The provinces started.
Almost every province now has said, we're not sending any money to Hockey Canada. Fuck you. And the two major provinces
Quebec.
Where this matters, Quebec and Ontario.
Good for Quebec.
And Manitoba too, no?
Yeah, Manitoba did.
Well,
yeah.
I don't know how many provinces now, but Quebec was the first one after that hearing that said, no, we're done. Mm-hmm. We're going to keep our money until you guys figure it out. Pull your heads out of your asses. And that took some courage on their part, right? To step up to the and take it to the big man, the corporation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did, and it did, but it's there's virtue signaling there as well. But at the same time, I mean, what else is there for anybody to use in terms of leverage against a group of guys who have been found out to have covered up 40 years of sexual assaults and won't fucking quit their jobs.
Yeah.
They won't stand for the victims of these crimes. They won't. And so corporate Canada has to say, fuck you guys. And I'm shocked that they have. The other thing I'm shocked about too, Locke, that this is actually appearing in mainstream media. The people are writing about it as if it is a foregone conclusion. Because today, Justin Trudeau was like, I know you hate the guy. He's like, fuck it. We'll just start a new thing called Canada Hockey. Fuck those guys. We'll gas them all. We'll dormy the entire organization. And what's lost in all this are the women that were assaulted, right? Like, no one's talking about that right now. Everybody's talking about the revenge and the comeuppance, but nobody's talking
money,
about the women.
Well,
and all that other shit.
I think I said this the other day. I think it has to be up to the women, I think, to right. I think they have to be the ones that allow the conversation to be had, whether they're injected into this or not. That's my take on it, and I think that's probably why the conversation around the victims is minimal at this point. Is because to this point we don't really know how many or who, and that's fine. That is completely and totally up to those individuals, and you have to respect that, right? Because they've already gone through hell, and if they took money or whatever the arrangement was, it's on them to decide what they're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. And I understand what you're saying. Maybe there should be a little less talk about Hockey Canada at this point, and a little more talk about about what happened to these women. But we're at that stage right now where Hockey Canada is crumbling. So I think that's where the focus has ended up being, just naturally in this story, Dean.
What do you make of their bold strategy to pretend that they didn't have anything to do with the things they admitted to doing?
Well, you know what I find interesting about this is, and again, I did not know about Navigator until I got on this podcast, and we're closing in on a 2-year run for Old Locker on the Dean Blundell Podcast Network. And I found out about it when you told the story about going for dinner with somebody and being introduced to the guy that had your account that was hired by your previous employer to basically turd your career. Yeah. So
Jamie Wan.
And I had no idea about the company. And the interesting thing about this is I'm sure I'd heard the name before.
Yeah.
It didn't register to me what they were. And basically what it is it's a PR company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Navigator. And so when a company is in trouble or they think they have something they need some help with, they sit down with Navigator and go, okay, here's this story is on you. And they give them a strategy to combat it and take care of it in the press, right? And on social media, and I'm sure there's a bunch of different strategies that Navigator applies.
They have their hands in with a lot of media as well. They have contacts there where they can run a story at the drop of a hat. If they say, hey, we need you to run this, and they
Toronto
will.
Star would be one of them, and I'll show you what Ryan's talking about in a second.
Yeah. But anyway, so Hockey Canada, and now what's happening is when these stories come out, now media outlets are starting to reference Navigator, and Hockey Canada hired Navigator. Last night, I'm eating dinner watching this coverage on TV, and they brought up Navigator, and I'm like, holy shit. I called Dean right away. Fucking Navigator's involved. And not only that, they boot fucked this whole thing.
Now,
they fucking sat those assholes down. Oh, for sure they did. They sat those assholes down at Hockey Canada and said, speak no wrong, say no wrong. You did nothing wrong. Ignore it. And here's our other great idea. Is there anybody in the organization that's female that you can put out
Frontman.
and because they're going to put her out there, and they stunk her, and she like she died up there. Did you watch any of that?
Oh yeah,
The whole thing.
Yeah, she.
It was
fascinating.
Fucking painful,
dude. It was so fucking fascinating. And when I was watching her on the stand, Andrea Skinner, I'm just going to bring this up so you can have a look at who we're talking about. She is a wonderful person. I have known this young lady since she was like in her late teens, early 20s, lived down the street, lovely family. Her brother, Ben Skinner, plays for the Buffalo Sabres. Just, like, this is a very influential family.
Okay, yeah.
53. And this is her. And she was named the interim boss at Hockey Canada, specifically on the advice that Hockey Canada got from Jamie Watt at Navigator. And so what did they do? They took this poor woman, put her on television, as Lachlan said, as part of their strategy to pretend that the house wasn't on fire. Nobody got raped. Nobody got gang raped. Nobody got paid out, all that other shit. And just to sing the praises of the people that she was there to protect. Not only did it not work, they did backfired. It on fucking purpose, and it backfired fucking huge.
You know what? I have a prediction. Can I just jump in? Because I want to say this out loud before I forget. Sorry, Linz.
No.
We're gonna stop hearing Navigator. We're gonna stop hearing because they're gonna have to. This one's so high profile, and they fuck this one so bad, which is just beautiful. Yeah. They're going to have to go away. They're going to have to rename that they're going to rebrand that company. You watch. Some of these people are going to lose their jobs in Navigator, and somebody is going to step up quickly here and change it. They'll still do the exact same bullshit. But it's going to be it's going to be under a completely different, somebody is
like Facebook
someone's
did
creating.
With Meta. Yeah.
Somebody is creating letterhead right now. Someone is in.
Now we're called Pilot.
Yeah.
Now we're called Do No Wrong. Now it's called Let's Go. We're called a different. It's called Prism. It's a new company called Prism. Aren't you Navigator? No, we're not Navigator at all.
No, we got rid of that guy.
Jamie Watt? No, I'm John Watt.
That's right. I'm Wamey Jott.
You know, the amazing part of that story, Locke, and he called me last night. He goes, "You watching this thing? The same people that were paid to fuck you over are the same people that absolutely fucked the whole thing for Hockey Canada, told them to deny, and fed that poor woman to the fucking wolves," which is exactly what fucking happened. Yeah. Jamie Watt's company is just a group of degenerate assholes. They're fixers that think that they're legal fixers. Google Jamie Watt and passing bad checks. Google that today. The dude is he's got a history of fraud. He's a big piece of shit. And not only that, this is his company's whole motto. Positioning. Harness the power of storytelling. Now more than ever, attention is the most sought after commodity. Cut through the noise. Our team of award-winning former journalists and marketing executives, this is where it gets greasy. Advisors to CEOs, first ministers, and cabinet members, market research, digital strategists can help tell your story, meaning they can help lie your way out of trouble. That's what they do. They not only bury people on behalf of big corporations, like these guys were paid a significant sum to bury me when I worked for Chorus. They were paid by my company to do this to me. Now what they're trying to do is do it to the fucking government. And it works with you.
I still hear. Well, listen, I still hear.
Yeah,
I love that it didn't work in this. I still hear the things that they were doing to you, Dean.
They still are.
They still come back to me on Twitter. People go, did you know that? And I'm like, no, that's not true.
Yeah. They are paid to lie about other people, destroy people. They are paid to destroy people's lives.
Careers,
That's what they do. So
they're cancelers. They're professional cancelers.
Exactly. It's fucking unbelievable. And not only are they paid to do it, they're paid to protect people with other lies, like we saw in the Hockey Canada hearing. Well, guess what happened? All those lies nobody bought, and they lost every single corporate sponsor, every single province's kiddie fund, absolutely all the support, to the point where the fucking prime minister of this country, like him or not, is like, fuck it. We're going to scrub the company and start a new one because it's just a business, you dicks. That's all this is. These cocksuckers, these pieces of shit that work for this organization. I told my friend Viv I wasn't going to swear today, but I'm not going to call people names. These people have enabled rape culture, have hidden rape culture, and they hired a company to continue to support rape culture within that organization. That is a business. These guys are protecting their paychecks on the backs of women who have been abused for decades. Fuck you. Fuck Hockey Canada. Fuck Jamie Watt. Fuck Navigator, and fuck anybody that thinks otherwise, because that's exactly what's happening here. And if you don't start supporting the truth here, everybody involved in it, I don't care if you're a paid lawyer, if you're a paid lobbyist, or if you're a member of fucking this or a party member of that, if you don't take a good hard look at protecting young women, young men trying to fucking play sports to enjoy themselves and going to these events that have been sexually assaulted, abused, and raped over a course of 40 years, and then helped by this government-run business to cover it up, you're an accessory to it. You fucking enabled it, and you're just as guilty as those young men that took advantage of those women. So fuck you.
Well said.
That's all I have to say.
Well said. It's disgusting. It really is, that they don't see the damage that they could potentially do by trying to deny it, instead of saying, listen, we're gonna do everything we can at this point to fix the problem and the culture within the organization. And here's how we're gonna start. This guy's gone, this guy's gone, this guy's gone. Anybody that knew about these, even if you had any inkling of the strategy behind the scenes to control the narrative of these episodes that happened over the years, these cases, these lawsuits, if you knew about that fund and you were involved, you should not be able to work for that organization anymore. And the fact that somebody, like, they hired a company, regardless if it wasn't Navigator, it would have been somebody else. The fact that they hired a company to come in and give them the advice to just ignore it the way they did just proves that the whole thing needs to be taken down. So if they would have stepped up and said, hey, listen, we got to fix this. This is wrong. And here's what we're planning on doing. And Scott's gone, and these guys, and we're going to have, we're going to start the voting process sooner than later. Boom, 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 boom. And instead they go, oh no, we didn't do anything wrong. By the way, there's sexual assaults in other sports too. Just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. That's your selling point.
So I said it was like,
it's
like an echo.
The whole fucking organization deserves to just be shot down in flames. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I can't believe it. It's unbelievable.
Without question. And I'm looking at the Hockey Canada executive board right now. And there are some pretty high profile women that are on that board as well. And high profile men, guys that used to play for the Rangers, Stanley Cup champion. Adam Graves is on the board. Greg Abel is on the board. Vice Chair Mike Humes, he's in Memphis, Tennessee. Paul Delaparte, Cassie Pascal, what's her name again? Cassie Campbell Pascal, she's on the board. She's an executive on the Hockey Canada Foundation board. There are a lot of people here that know what's going on. There are a lot of people here that are stuck between trying to protect the culture and protect their friends that need to just let the fucking thing go. I mean, it's over. Hockey Canada is going to be tits up in the next, I don't know how long. It is pardon the pun. It's just so they're going to go bankrupt. Scratch that old statement. They are going to lose. They've lost everything. They've lost all the support across the country, all the corporate support. And the reason why is because there are several people involved that just cannot see a way to admit fault where they're clearly at fault in deciding that they were going to join an organization or help an organization when they knew exactly what this shit was and did the entire time. And it has been for decades. So fuck, burn it down. It's time. It's time to fucking get rid of it. It's time to hold those guys accountable.
It is. And I had to catch myself because I was taking too much joy out of the fact that Navigator was involved and that they must have got some bad advice from them and that it's going to be two organizations. I think this is going to I want you guys to remember this. Navigator will go through a name change because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one,
they'll change the face.
Major failure on their part.
That entire industry is a failure industry, though. It's just a way to fucking keep lies instead of helping people and trying to make
it's not just sporting organizations. It's not just broadcast organizations that hire Navigator. It's politicians. It's
speaking of which,
where they cut their teeth mostly on is their bread is buttered mostly by politicians and that's
dude, did you see the bragging?
That's
who
keeps the lights on. Yeah, that's what I mean.
In his little thing, he's like, "I just want you to know, we got CEOs, first ministers, cabinet ministers in our pockets. It's all good. Don't worry about it. We got to figure it out." Case in point, this guy Jamie Watt, who's the president of this shit hot organization called Navigator, the last thing he tweeted was September the 13th, and it was on behalf of one of his clients, and it was for one of his clients, the Toronto Star. In a new column for the Toronto Star, Navigator's executive chairman, Jamie Watt, reflects on Pierre Poilievre's victory speech and how his ability to connect with Canadians who feel unheard will serve him forward, moving well, serving forward, whatever, fuck.
Remember what I said about Pierre Poilievre? And I said the reason why you guys need to watch this guy, and because everyone's like, he's playing from the Trump handbook. Yeah, but he's doing it way better. He does not make mistakes. He is
yes, he does.
Okay, yeah. He
Big
makes a lot less
today.
Mistakes. He makes a lot less mistakes than a lot of other politicians do.
True.
Because he is on a script and he sticks to it hardcore. Yeah, he is hammering that message, and that message was sat down and prepared for him by other people.
Yeah.
It's a strategy. And
it's going well so far until you look underneath the hood, which Global News did. Now, keep in mind, there are no love lost between Global News and Pierre Poilievre, right? So let me just quickly point out that we've been saying what I'm going to read you from Global News. We've been telling you this for 6 months, okay?
Yeah.
We've been telling you that Pierre Poilievre is digitally farming rage and hate with white supremacists and toxic male groups. Now, we have receipts. Like we've had receipts before, but if Global says it, I guess these are real receipts. This is a story that came out today. Global News analysis of 50 of Pierre Poilievre's most recent YouTube videos showed they included a tag hidden from viewers, but not from video's publisher, used by a misogynist online movement. Interesting. Now, when you read that, the skeptical part of yourself goes, oh, yeah, what kind of fancy bullshit is this you're trying to pull on my guy, Pierre? It's very interesting. It's called the MGTOW movement. Hashtag MGTOW. As you can see here, these are a litany of their Twitter handles. MGTOW, men going their own way. That's what it stands for. Correct, Ryan? Oh.
That's correct. Okay. Men going their own way. They've kind of disavowed any sort of association or reliance on women.
That's right. That's right.
So they're anti-women?
100% anti-women. There's a huge gay portion that's anti-women. There's a huge straight portion of anti-women. But just so you know, MGTOW is a nicer way to say incel. That's who we're talking about here. We're not talking about guys.
Is incel directly related to religion?
Yes.
Involuntarily celibate is what incel stands for. Yeah.
So let's get into this. This is from the Global News article. Pierre Poilievre's official YouTube videos include a hidden tag appealing to misogynist online movements that Canada's intelligence agencies say is a danger. A Global News analysis of 50 of Poilievre's most recent YouTube videos showed they include a tag hidden from viewers, but not from the video's publisher, used by a misogynist online movement. The tag helps promote Poilievre's videos among these circles and signals to YouTube who to basically send this to that might be interested in the conservative leader's messaging. The tag, hashtag MGTOW, or men going their own way, pronounced MGTOW by people and incel virgins in this movement, a mostly online movement comprised of anti-feminists who attempt to cut women completely out of their lives, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. The movement overlaps with a more aggressive form of male supremacy. Not done there. It's difficult to quantify rather the size of the movement, and it will overlap with forms of misogyny both online and the real world. But online connected to the manosphere have proliferated in recent years. Global News verified the tag was used on videos using publicly available software, checked it against the video's source. Within hours of Global sending a detailed list of questions to Polievre's office, the tag disappeared.
Oh.
Polievre's office then said the conservative leader was unaware the embedded tags existed and therefore was unaware that they were used for uploads on his YouTube channel over the last, quote, 4.5 years. 4.5 years. YouTube tags work in similar ways to hashtags. Let me just explain. This is great reporting from Global. They deserve credit. On the other social media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, unlike hashtags, which are not visible to the user, they help users discover videos through search and recommendations. Most of the tags on Polievre's videos are related to Canadian politics, include phrases like Stephen Harper, Justin Trudeau, House of Commons. The videos also included the tag Rona Ambrose, the former conservative interim leader who retired from politics in 2017, corroborating Polievre's team's explanation. They have been deploying the same tags in their videos for years. YouTube videos from Prime Minister Trudeau included basic hashtags about Canadian politics. Jagmeet, of course, didn't use any because he doesn't know how to use it. Polievre's videos used MGTOW and other tags for Ben Shapiro, the U.S. right-wing commentator who appeared to be unique among federal leaders.
That's the guy that can't make his wife come. That's
right. That's right. Yeah, he can't bring his wife to climax, Ben Shapiro. Several people close to Polievre's leadership campaign have independently brought up his digital savvy as a key component to his decisive conservative leadership win. He had more than 445,000 Twitter followers, 570,000 on Facebook, 250 on YouTube. This is where it gets kind of interesting. MGTOW is male supremacy. They are adherents and advocates for separating entirely from relations from women. Real cool guys. As both white supremacy and male supremacy are driven by fear of the perceived loss of white male status, white male privilege, the ideological tenets that animate these hateful worldviews intermingle and bolster each other. Similarly, these manifestations of hate and extremism exist on a continuum with a more widely accepted mainstream political agendas. He has basically normalized the use of male supremacy in his marketing and white supremacy in his marketing. That's exactly what he's done. Yeah. So, secret's out. The great part is he was asked about it today in the House of Commons. I would never play anything from C-SPAN if it wasn't awesome to watch. This is his response to the whole thing. He says he had no idea about it. Blah, 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 blah. Watch this.
This morning, there was some very disturbing news that's been reported, in particular that misogynistic tags were being used on the Leader of the Opposition's YouTube channel to generate certain individuals to his channel, in particular those that would sympathize with these misogynistic terms. I'm wondering if the Leader of the Opposition would like to explain to the House and to Canadians his position on this and perhaps what he's doing to ensure that that doesn't continue.
Well, of course, we on this side reject all misogyny and all acts of extremism, and that is how we will always conduct ourselves over here. But, you know, I'll give you an example, Madam Chair, of why this subject of affordability, food affordability, is so important.
Just like yesterday, I'm telling you, it's a curse with that party. The minute they get asked a question, it obviously they have to conflate it with something else just to get the fucking stink off of them. And their followers eat this up. They fucking eat it up like it's candy. And oh yeah, see, he's real smart. He's talking about inflation. Yeah, but what about the misogyny?
We don't like it. That's all he said. We don't like it. Let's get back to the price of food.
Fuck.
Well, you did it. And dude, this is going to follow him around like a stink. It is the second biggest story in the country today. The first is Hockey Canada. The second is the fact that because listen, hashtags are used to attach your fucking message to a certain group. It's what they're there for. If for 4 years, if they've been putting MGTOW on all their shit, that means whoever is in charge of their digital marketing, Jeff Ballnall, Ezra Levin, is responsible.
We have a YouTube page, and I know exactly where those are. Because you can when you set up your page, you create that. It actually reminded me that I haven't looked at the ones that we put in there, and I would have just put based on this conversation, maybe I need to go in there and have a look at what we've got, because I mean, we don't use our social media. I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to get advice from social media experts. That's what these people do. They sit down and they go through. That's why their numbers go so quickly, and that's why they have such reach. Politicians, I mean,
that's why Pierre has his following is 40% bots, 40% inauthentic accounts on Pierre Poilievre's. We did an analysis on it a few weeks ago. It's around 40% of inauthentic.
Hey, do mine.
How's
mine?
Elon Musk is 71%, by the way.
71% bots?
Yeah. He's got like
I wonder how many, because I got
followers.
30,000 followers on Twitter. I have no idea.
It's
how
probably
many
a good
bots.
half. I mean, there's probably like half of the. I would say half of the people that follow everybody are.
I'll do yours right now, Locke.
Big followers. It's all bots. Like I would say that's the case. Pierre's is significantly higher than most. Very disruptive channel. All that stuff. But all of the hashtags and the marketing, they know who they're directing it at, and they knew that they were directing this at white male supremacists who hate women because
but the
they
thing is,
needed that
everyone
vote. Like,
does this now.
Everyone
does this.
Well, I know everybody does this,
yeah.
and that information is available out there for everybody. But not everybody decides that they want specifically white supremacists to support their.
Yeah, dummy.
Like if you're going to curate an audience right now, Locke, are you going to go? We really need to kettle that incel movement into our group. We really want them watching our stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking unbelievable to me. And we've said it the whole time. Dude, all he's trying to do is gin up the fucking angry young white guys. It's in his hashtags. It's there. And then when they get caught, they remove it. I asked his campaign manager, Jenny Byrne, for a comment today, and she hasn't responded. Like not a word. Hasn't said anything. I'm like, hey, Jenny, any comment about the MGTOW hashtags before we discuss it today? Happy to represent you verbatim without opinion. Also happy to have you on to discuss it. Be well. I didn't know this, but she and I had shared DMs a while back about something else. I had no idea who that person was until this whole thing happened. Oh, I kind of did, but I didn't connect the fact that I'd known her through different avenues before. And not a word. She hasn't said anything to me. It's silence, right? Like that's the fucking incredible part is when these cats get caught doing something really ridiculous, they don't say anything. It's like Hockey Canada, same thing. And you know who the victims here are again? Women.
Yeah.
Both of these stories coming out of Canada. You got toxic male assholes deciding to not support women who have been kettled. You got a bunch of other toxic male assholes literally sending their political messaging to white male supremacists, incel losers, hoping to get more clicks, hoping to get more support from that community who hate women. It's fucking mind-blowing to me. That's the problem I have with both of these stories, if I'm being honest, is that the end result is the person who's being persecuted or oppressed is a woman. It's not a dude. It's not a dude. It's
never has
trying
been.
to go find more dudes that hate women. It's fucking mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
You know
like
what?
They're literally starting clubs.
Yeah.
Well,
You know?
How?
the thing that I find interesting about I read something today. It was just a quick, like, you know, it wasn't really a meme, but it was one of those things you see on Facebook, just the big letters or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was a guy who just started following me through the locker room, and so I hit to just check on Facebook. I actually check who's following me. On Twitter and Instagram, I just follow everybody back, and I have this filter that I clean everything out once every couple of weeks. But on Facebook, though, I find it a little bit more, I don't know, penetrating into my life for some reason. I'm not sure why. So I just make sure that these are real people. If they're from Edmonton and they've actually got a picture of a family member or something on there or whatever. And this guy had this thing, and it was basically a comment that his wife had made. She pointed out that all the home devices that talk to you, like your GPS, everything, it's all women. It's all female voices.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know, we're just perpetuating that we're basically your servants.
like Alexa.
Yeah, they're all women, and she's got a point. We're
That's
just
true.
we
Siri.
do it culturally. We
My
don't
Waze
even
app is a
we don't
woman.
even know. Yeah,
I
we
know.
don't even know we're doing it, right?
That's a great point. All the things, all the automated devices we have telling us what to do, they're all.
I got an Irish
Well,
woman.
it defaults as a woman. You can change it to a guy.
Well,
you
that's
can
in
change
itself sexist.
But who
It should
does?
default to a dude?
Lynn's, all these at-home speakers or whatever that you're yelling at for like
Yeah.
the weather or like, whatever you're yelling at them,
Mm-hmm.
for facts. It's all a female voice, right?
It's all baked in.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Joining us
Just
to
Totally
discuss.
baked in.
Oh, totally it is, dude.
Baked
It's,
in.
sexism is like fucking.
It's
It's
true.
in our tech. It's unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the program from the True North Eager Beaver podcast, my friend Douglas. Ladies and gentlemen,
Hey, buddy.
Hello, everyone.
how are
See
you,
you.
sir?
If I were any better, I would be triplets.
Oh my God, that's pretty
There you
good.
go.
Nice to see you. Douglas comes to us from the True North Eager Beaver podcast. I watched your morning show, The Morning Bites, the other day. Loved it.
Thanks.
And you sent me a text this morning. You're like, I want to talk about this MGTOW shit. I want to talk about it now. Let's talk about it. Take me through it. You do an incredible podcast with Paul Atkinson, Blue Jacket Guy. If you're just joining us, True North Eager Beaver podcast is a fun little kind of walk through the political week and events and all the other shit and the dumb stuff that people do. But it's a very protective podcast, protective about Canada, but it's not biased in that way. But take me through it. What do you make of this YouTube MGTOW bullshit?
Okay. Well, let's start it this way. It's just the next thing. When we're covering the news, you have to understand that because the news never stops and we've gone to 24/7, we've moved away from covering the news at 30,000 foot level, looking at all the things and having people connect the dots. And we're basically just covering breathlessly what has happened today. And what we like to do with the show, because we're trying to do a not quite daily now, but because we're not covering daily, we try to, look at things that people said before and connect them to what they've done today, and try to give some political and some media literacy, how to understand the media, how to deal with the fire hose of bullshit that's basically, being imposed on us, especially now since leaders are trying to go around the mainstream media and trying to do programming themselves. So when I saw that article today about the hidden tags in there, I read the article, and the first thing that struck me was the part in the article where he said, where Polievre said that he had no idea the MGTOW tag was included in all the uploads, right? And basically, they did a survey of his last 50 YouTube videos, and all 50 of them had that tag in there. And then it seems that the tag has been there for about 4.5 years. And this is the guy, again, if we're not just remembering today and what he's saying today to get through to it, who also had no idea who Jeremy Mackenzie was and no idea until recently about what Diagolon was. Right? The little things he said to get through the day. But if you take a little look, there's no
Under the
way
hood.
this guy could not know. He's either the most clueless person in the world, or, as the expression goes, there is no one more blind than someone who just refuses to see. So it's part of a strategy. And he's laying many planks down. So I like to go to a good reference of mine is a philosopher, Umberto Eco. People who like to read novels may remember him from The Name of the Rose or Foucault's Pendulum. So he writes novels, but he's a philosopher, and he identified 14 characteristics of fascism. I don't know if I sent you some visuals a little late, so I don't know if you actually have them handy. Dean?
I'll get them for you now.
Okay.
Did you email them to me or did you DM them?
I emailed them to you, yeah.
Oh, you emailed them to me. Okay, no, I didn't
But
get them.
I do have them here if you handy, if you just need to do a print screen. Share screen.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you not do it from there? Can you not do the share on the screen there?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I can do that here.
Please. Yep.
Okay, so I'm just gonna. Why is this not?
Go ahead. Fuck it up, dude. You can't fuck it up any more than we fuck it up.
Well,
all right.
While Douglas is looking for that, I've got Lachlan's bot followers. Out of 30,000 followers, he's only got 7% that are fake. So that's pretty good.
Is that good?
Right.
Yeah, that's actually not bad at all.
So there we go. We have the first one's up. I don't know if you have it yet, Dean.
Yep. Let me just turn it on here for you and take you off. There we go. There we are.
All right. So we have 14 characteristics of fascism, and I've highlighted a few of them. First of all, the first one is the cult of tradition. Mm-hmm. One only has to look at the syllabus of every fascist movement to find the major traditionalist thinkers. The Nazi was nourished by traditionalists, syncretic and occult elements. This is, when he's rubbing up against wood and talking about the past and how like this, and how things used to be and all that kind of stuff.
I just thought he had a thing for reclaim wood, Douglas. I just thought he was really hot for wood.
Yeah, I wasn't judging.
Really hot for wood. Yeah.
Like me a good beam once in a while.
Oh God, he was rubbing up. That's so hot and thirsty. I thought he was going to get splinters. So yeah, I mean, he's probably still removing them from his belly button as we speak.
Probably.
So he's always going to tradition, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. Everything is, when he talks about Anglo-Saxons and all that kind of stuff. So that's the first element. The third one in there is the cult of action for action's sake. He's always calling for something to be done. And he often calls for things to be done that have either already been announced or that are already being done. Like in the case of Hurricane Fiona, he put out a tweet at one point saying, conservatives are going to make sure that the government is going to deliver and is going to do this. And it's like, well, how?
Yeah.
How?
Or like the
government was
mandates.
already there.
Or like the mandates when they were already removing the mandates, but he was screaming at people to keep screaming about removing mandates like that.
Yeah. The removal of the mandates that was announced 3 months prior to them being removed. But now that I'm leader for 2 weeks, it's like we're winning because I did this. Yeah. Right. So this is the same thing as well, right? And he's doing it on Fiona. We're going to make sure that the aid is going to get there. But it's like the reality is that his party and he in the House of Commons himself are utterly irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because the Liberals and the NDP together have a majority. The Liberals and the Bloc Québécois together
as part of the coalition
have a
that
majority.
Bloc loves so much.
Have a majority.
Yeah.
And the Greens hardly ever work with him. He's literally the cheese who stands alone. So the Conservative Party of Canada right now, the way that the House of Commons is shaped, are literally just screaming into a wind tunnel. They are utterly and completely irrelevant. They can get nothing done. They are impotent, like you could not believe.
That's why they got to pimp off of other people's accomplishments or other things that other people do and say that they only did that because of us. That's why they do that, right? It's all a play to convince you that something's going on that isn't, that they had nothing to do with.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's with Fiona, he's saying that he's going to make sure that they're going to do that to deliver the aid and all that kind of stuff. And all of that has been announced. And on our show, Mr. Grizzly and I were speaking, and I said, watch, you're going to have it in a couple of days that they're going to say, oh, he's just showing up for the photo ops and where is everything? Mm-hmm. Now, Hurricane Fiona was the largest storm in Atlantic Canada history, recorded one. And they normally ask you to have about 72 hours of, survival, food, water, gas on you. Most people can get to you within 72 hours, but there are regions now, we're hitting the 2-week part, that still don't have electricity. So the money has been announced. The Prime Minister went there he was there on day 4, day 5, and day 6. He had 5 different provinces to go to. And on day 7, he had 2 Conservative MPs going, why is this taking so long? And complaining about photo ops, just like we predicted. Because you can write the script before it even starts. You know everywhere that they're going to go based on what they've done before. Past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. Mm-hmm. So all that stuff was done. Now you have to understand that this guy is not appealing to everyone. right?
No.
And that's another one that we're gonna get down to later on these 14 characteristics. The other thing he's doing that is the thing in Iran with the IGRC wanting to declare it a terrorist organization. This is something that was voted on in 2018. There was a motion that was voted on this in 2018. Yes, that motion is already passed. The IGRC cannot be declared a terrorist organization because basically every male in Iran has an obligatory conscription. So there are so many people in the IGRC that if you were to actually put it on a terrorist list, you'd have about like 10,000 people, if not more, to monitor. It's impossible. There's a reason why the motion keeps on getting proposed, keeps on getting passed, but it can't be done. So this is action for action's sake. More sanctions. The sanctions were announced that they were coming on the first day. A few days later, 34 individuals and entities were sanctioned. So he's taking credit for what the government said it was going to do anyway, and then did do.
Yeah.
Oh, he's stealing thunder. I do that all the time. Like when Locke says something fun, I pretend that I made it up. When Ryan says something of interest, I pretend it came out of my mouth. That's exact, dude. I'm the same guy. I do the exact same thing. I'm really interested in this one, the appeal to social frustration. That's another hallmark of fascism. Tell me about that one.
All right. So this one, you have, for example, the airports, right? The lines, customs, and all that kind of stuff. And this one, he's had the help of some minions here, right? You've had Son Lori and Silly Lily. In particular, sorry, Lori and Silly Lily in particular, they were banging that drum very, very heavily as he was becoming leader. But they were focusing on two people specifically, Omar Al-Ghabra, Minister of Transport, and there was also something else, that funding that went to that media group where the guy then decided he was going to basically denounced Jewish white supremacists or something. They were on that. Yeah. I don't want to mention that guy's name, but they were on that for 3 weeks, I guess, and they were demanding resignations and basically saying that Prime Minister Trudeau basically wrote that check, hired that guy, and delivered that money directly to him. And it's like there was no accountability requested at all from either of these two from the organization who got the money and hired this guy and gave this guy the contract. But they were demanding resignations of Omar Al-Ghabra and Ahmad Hussein. Now, what do those
Rebel News is still camped out every day waiting for Omar to leave and to try and get him in a gotcha. And he actually, there was a video floating around today of him just telling the guy from Rebel, fuck off. Like, I'm not talking to you. And he just, you're not real. I'm leaving. And he walked away from him. It was great.
You're not real.
So the two members of cabinet who happen to be brown and have Muslimy names are the two that they focused on. This is not an accident.
No.
This is not an accident. So that was the first one. Appeal to social frustration. The taxes, right? You've been hearing this, right? Trudeau is going to raise your taxes. Now, I've been asking, which taxes specifically are you talking about? Because, well, the carbon tax. Well, the carbon tax is actually not a tax. If you go on the Supreme Court of Canada website and actually look up the decision, they actually have a little header that says not a tax.
Yeah. Okay.
It is a regulatory fee.
This is where we bring Lachlan in, because Lachlan and I had a chat about the carbon tax the other day. Let's just put this to the side for a second. Lachlan and I had a chat about the carbon tax the other day. I'm like, I don't even understand it. But the way the way that he explained it to me made sense, is penalizing people to be more socially aware, or more like to litter less, or whatever the situation is. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, no, that's what they're doing. They're penalizing people. So Lachlan, you're shaking your head at the carbon tax. He thinks
what is it then?
Good. Yeah,
it's not what it is.
Is it then?
Yeah.
Okay. The carbon tax.
What is it?
I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you.
You work in customer service, Douglas?
Yes, I do. Here we go, Dean. I'm going to give you a link here. It's the Supreme Court of Canada.
Yeah.
Thing. I don't know if you can put the article up. Yeah, I put it in the private chat.
Sure. Yeah. Let me see if I can drag this over and I can do my own screen. Let me present myself. On this page, it actually says, and there's a header, not a tax.
The majority noted that the term carbon tax is often used to describe the pricing of carbon emissions. So basically a verbal shortcut. We call it a carbon tax because carbon regulatory pricing fee takes too long to say, it's clunky, and it takes more than 30 seconds to explain. It doesn't fit in a soundbite. So we call it carbon tax. Is often used to describe the pricing of carbon emissions.
A tax, it makes way more sense and actually clarifies it.
Except when it doesn't.
You want to learn?
Oh, we're losing,
yes,
Douglas.
because there's a difference between a tax, a regulatory fee, an insurance premium, and a pension contribution. If you look at the technical definitions, if you ask any accountant, these things are very different, very, very different. But we all call them taxes, right? We say payroll taxes, we say carbon taxes, but because it makes it easier. It's money that you don't get to hold on to immediately as soon as you get it. So we call them all taxes. But a tax is a very, very specific thing that behaves in a very specific way. The carbon stuff is a regulatory fee. The court said that this has nothing to do with the concept of taxation as understood in the constitutional context. As such, they also concluded that the fuel and excess emission charges imposed by the Act were constitutionally valid regulatory charges and not taxes, which is why Jason Kenney and Doug Ford and all of them lost in court. You lost in court because it is not a tax.
Mm-hmm. Technicality.
Right? 9 judges of the Supreme Court, and this was like, right? So it's not a tax. The purpose of carbon pricing.
So they were very creative with how they worded it because they have good lawyers.
Douglas, not creative. No, not creative with how they worded it. Created with the way they designed it. It's in the design, right? When you pay your taxes,
yes, and it still fucks us all.
Taxes go into the government coffers, and those who qualify for a rebate, like GST, for example, or an income tax refund, get some back. But all the money remains in government coffers. The carbon tax, because almost none of the money remains in coffers. All the money is returned except about 10%, which goes to institutions like hospitals, schools, whatnot, so that they can change. The government does not retain any of it. So it is not a tax. Mm-hmm. When you get your carbon rebate, you don't declare it next year on your taxes as income.
As income, yeah.
Right? It's not a tax.
It's a retention. Yeah.
So, I get it. I didn't think I'd get a carbon tax lesson today when we were talking about PP, but I'm appreciative for it. Because now I get it.
It's the media.
Well, now you know what. Now you know why he's doing what he's doing to guys like Lachlan. This is why he's preying on. He's preying on it, but using the word tax.
And you're like, hey, if I use the word tax, Lachlan's going to get activated because he should, because everybody hates taxes. And Lachlan is a champion of the people.
Fucking name it.
That's what people chose to call it as a shortcut, but it is not.
No,
this is. We would call it.
Well, then
the only one calls it a carbon tax is the conservatives.
I want to say something.
Yeah, Lachlan froze.
Does the carbon make our lives more expensive? Does the carbon that we're all paying make our lives more expensive? So I have less money now than I had before the carbon tax. It's costing me more to do the things that I would normally do. It's costing me more. I have less disposable income. How can you say I don't when it actually applies to just about everything that we're paying for?
I will explain that. So, first of all, the carbon tax only applies in provinces where the premiers were too lazy or didn't want to row in the same direction of the rest of the team, and put in their own carbon pricing scheme, or not carbon price, no price on pollution type of thing, but whole bunch of other measures, carbon capture, other types of things, right? That will help reduce carbon. Now, every other method except a carbon tax will cost you more than a carbon tax and give you less. A carbon tax by design, or carbon regulatory pricing by design, is an inherently conservative concept, not because it was proposed by conservatives, but because if you change your behavior, you get to choose how much or how little tax you are going to pay. Now, it's based on basically, so it's based on consumer behavior.
So you're agreeing with me. So it does cost, if I do not, but hold on, here's my problem with it. When you punish people for the way they live their lives,
that's the way it sounds.
you're going to give them the ability to actually make the changes that they need to make because they have less income to make the decisions that they need to make to help the environment. So you're actually impeding the process of progress in this country by creating this very complex thing. And this is why it drives me crazy, because this is exactly the conversation that everybody has with you when you say that you're against the carbon tax. Well, it's not really a tax. You know, if you were smart enough, you'd really understand it. No, I understand it. It costs more for me to live the way I've always lived my life, which is going to impede my ability to buy fucking solar panels for my new house. I'm going to actually avoid the fucking car that's going to cost me less because the car is $15,000 more. And you can shake your head, but people
You're going to get rebates for buying those things, Lachlan. Those things all come with rebates.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Where do the fucking rebates come from? There's no rebates. There's no reward whatsoever. I've seen any of this money, and does that make any sense? Let's take fucking money from you and then give it back to you? Like, that's stupid. That is so...
Not. I will explain it.
Yes, it is. Just leave it in their pockets.
No, because that doesn't help. The reason why you do carbon, if you think of it as an X graph, right? What you have is the cost. It's basically consumer behavior. The cost of you keeping any change that somebody makes you wants you to do involves a cost or an effort, right? So you have to either buy a new technology, which requires effort. It takes you out of your current comfort zone. The objective of a carbon tax over time, is to make the cost of things that are carbon intensive more expensive, which encourages you to buy things or use less carbon. At the other end of the spectrum, as people make the changes, because we're dealing with economies of scale, the cost to produce carbon reducing alternatives becomes lower, and then they become more affordable. Now, it takes time for this to happen, but it does eventually happen. And over the course of the year, right, the money, yes, you have to do the initial outlay, but over the course of the year, if you live in a province that does not have any carbon plan on their own or has put a price on pollution on their own, then yes, you will get it, and you will get the rebate when you file your income tax. So at the end of the whole year, about 80% of people wind up with more. At the moment, because this is a little less, it's going down to 60 at the moment, because there are people that have decided that the price of carbon intensive things are not high enough yet, hasn't caused them enough discomfort to make the switch to lower cost alternatives. At some point, this is basic consumer behavior in business. At some point, when it becomes too expensive to pay it, when it causes you too much discomfort, you will make the change. Now, in consumer behavior, you have 5 groups of people, right? You'll have early adopters, the first person that's right in line to buy the new iPhone
until they can't pay for them
out, right? But no, when there's a new technology, right? They're the people that join right away.
I'm that
they
guy.
Get it.
The Apple guys.
The
Apple lineup.
Just keep pounding them.
And then there's the next.
When they're fucked, they'll go buy an electric car.
Yeah,
That's the stupid. Idea. It is so stupid.
Here's the thing.
It's not stupid. It's
unbelievably counterproductive. I don't know what else to say without using words that people are going to get angry about.
Okay, don't just take a breath, have a pint, relax. Let me just weigh in to see if I got this correct, because I see what Locke's saying. I understand carbon pricing now a whole bunch more thanks to your explanation, and that was the pretty sure Locke's gone. That was the explanation that I needed. What you're saying is this, if I'm not mistaken. What you're saying, here he is. What you're saying is this.
There was a lag. I had to jump out. Sorry.
I'm glad you're there. I'm glad you're here. So what you're saying is this, is that what we're trying to do is make things that burn fossil fuels more expensive, things that use all kinds of bad energy more expensive, so that we kind of start funneling people towards cleaner energy, less carbon, less fossil fuels, so we save this planet. Now, that's
and
what
as
I'm hearing.
more people buy those,
Yes.
they become less expensive.
Bingo. Now, let me move this over to Lachlan. So if that's the explanation, Mr. Forest Ranger Rick, who came back from his vacation all concerned with people fucking up this planet, does that make some sense on some level to you? A little bit.
Because if you put 100 people in a room, okay?
Yes. Okay.
Hear me out.
I got you. I'm with
Hear
you.
me out.
Yeah.
Listen.
If you put 100 people in the room, okay,
Yeah.
and you say to them, what are you more likely to do? Are you more likely to change your behavior by being punished for the way you do something, or are you more likely to change your behavior by being rewarded for something you do?
Incentivized.
You're going to get an overwhelming support for if I do something well, then reward me for it. And that's the problem I have with the concept of the carbon tax. I listen, I get it.
That's a fair
X graphs and your calculus all you want. The thing is, you're not going to actually incentivize.
Sorry, did you just say you and your graphs and your calculus? Your X
graphs and your maths.
Yeah.
He gets so mad about math on this show, Douglas.
I love you, man.
Sorry.
I love you so much. It's unbelievable how much
I'll give you an example, Locke.
If somebody said to me, hold on, Linz, let me
go ahead.
Again, I'm dealing with a lag here, so I'm not sure where I'm interrupting or not. If somebody said to me, listen, if you go buy that car is going to it's a hybrid or it's electric or whatever, it's going to have way less impact on the environment. Okay. And your reward for buying that car is I'm going to give you a break on your taxes. To me, mathematically, just consumer wise, that makes way more sense to me. And it's way easier to figure out as just the average dumb guy wandering around the planet that do something good for society. Then Douglas, you're the 14th person that's tried to explain the benefit of the carbon tax. And I get angrier because the problem is you're not dealing with a bunch of Douglases. You're an educated individual.
No.
You're smart enough to sit down and realize the in and outs of this thing and realize why in long term it might actually benefit the country. But we don't have long term. We have short term problems we need to deal with. And in my opinion, if you just said to everybody, if you stepped up to a stump and said, listen, buy the electric car, this is what you're getting off on your taxes. And not only that, what we're going to do is we're going to create incentive programs for the companies that create this green energy, this thing that's better for the environment. We're going to create a business environment for them to be successful, so that bring down the price of this, so that when you're sitting there doing the math, you can actually, it makes sense that the car that is a hybrid or an electric is going to not just save the planet, save you money, and it's going to be better off for everybody. We're not doing that.
I like it.
But we do that. We do that already. We already do that. You know that.
We are doing that.
Well, I'm with Lachlan. The thing is, just talk to Lachlan and me on the same level, because I didn't know that.
Yeah. We are doing that, but you have to look at where the inputs and the outputs are coming, because they're coming from different places. Nobody is giving you an incentive on your income tax form, but if you buy a carbon or zero emission vehicle, you're going to get a rebate.
There's two levels of it
on purchasing that car. There are two levels, and now they've included trucks and pickups.
Why have I never heard of this?
In there.
You get a battery electric, hydrogen fuel cell, and long-range plug-in hybrid vehicles are eligible for up to $5,000 in rebates from the Canadian government.
Okay. Then there's the fact that you're using less gas, so you're saving on gas. You're also thinking, if you're looking at 5-10 years down the road, price of gas is only going to go up and up and up.
Especially right now with them cutting back. OPEC is fucking us right now.
Right in the corner.
OPEC just
where did you find this? Where is this incentive?
Google
Transport Canada website.
Google like Canadian electric car incentive.
Transport Canada.
Yeah.
Just hit Google. Just Google electric car incentives in Canada.
Here's
With
a
my
question
luck,
I have.
it'll
How
only
come
be
when
available to people in fucking Quebec.
you
in
have to be
Ontario.
under the age of
No,
51.
And then
I'm not wrong.
with that also fits in. It's in the home retrofit program, the federal
as well.
home retrofit program
That's
as well.
correct.
Yes. So all these
I
little
did know
things
about
are
that. I did know about that.
Yeah. They
Yeah, you should
incentivize
know about
to
that
get
buying
better
a new
windows.
house.
They'll pay for your
Yeah.
windows. They'll pay for a high energy furnace. They'll help you pay for all that stuff. There's incentives for all that stuff. But like you, Locke, I didn't know this. And like what you're saying, when they're standing up there calling it a tax, there are people that are dumb like me that go, well, that can't be good. That's a tax. Tax sounds like it's terrible, right? It sounds like you're punishing us for just carrying on the way that you've told us to carry on for the past 150 years in this fucking country. Now all of a sudden we get a tax for carrying on. But if they stepped up there and they said, here's a transparent slide. We're going to do a really neat slideshow when we talk about the carbon tax, and we're going to show you where you can get incentives to go and buy these new vehicles and the money that's available to you and all that other shit. Like that's the communication that they need to have and I know we got way sidetracked from fascism here, but to my point is this: I'm glad we're talking about it because we need to give a shit about the environment. We need to give a shit about these things, and you need to give a shit about keeping money in your pockets. Absolutely, I know you do. I'm speaking to all of us. I'm not talking to you. I'm not yelling at you, dude. I'm on Team Lock.
No, I'm just pointing out. I think everybody gives a shit. Everyone cares about the environment. We all want these. We all want things to be better. If you're not watching the news, come on.
Like, yeah, but if there's a difference between wants and actions, though. That's the problem. And we're trying to make people just think on hopes and prayers that they're going to do it. My example that I was going to give you is, have you seen the price of a pack of smokes, Locke? Yep. $17. Okay. Do you know why they're $17? Not because it costs $17 to produce them. It's because lung cancer and lung disease is fucking draining our public health. So guys like me, so what they do, they say, okay, let's put a sin tax on that, because they want you to get off of it. They want you to, hey, listen, fucking stop doing it. They're doing the same thing with fossil fuel to get us into renewals. That's why they have smoking cessation programs paid for by the government. They're giving you all the other options to get out of this bad habit. They're doing the same thing.
They're trying to create discomfort, right? It's a battle of discomfort. The discomfort of quitting smoking, which is hard,
but giving
versus
you
the discomfort of paying more and more and more. At one point, paying more and more is going to become so uncomfortable that you will make the change.
Yeah.
That's what Lachlan doesn't like. He hates being told what to do, like me. As you're explaining,
we're not going to do it on our own, Locke. Capitalism has proven over the last 100 fucking years, we will never do this on our own.
Hey, real quick.
You have the choice, but it's up to you how much pain you want to take before you make the switch.
I want muscle relaxants for the whole thing. By the way, quick little update here. I don't know if you guys know this. Stoney says a tin of chews over $30.
It's that mouth cancer is even worse than the lungs, boys.
He's still chewing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know we were sitting with a millionaire.
Go ahead, Doug.
So it's basic consumer behavior. Every time you have a new technology, you have about 2.5% of the people who are innovators. They'll get it right away. And then another 13.5% who are early adopters. They'll get it right away. Then later on, there's about 34% of the people are called early majority. They will, once it's sort of proven itself a bit, they'll be the first to jump in. You can even think of the vaccine this way, the COVID vaccine. There were people that went and got it right away, and there were people that wanted to wait through. They weren't anti-vaccine, but they wanted to wait 4 or 5 months to see
how everybody else made it
before they got it.
Yeah.
Easy, Doug. Easy, Dougie. Yes. Easy, Dougie. Don't get too crazy with the vaccines, Dougie.
I would also like
consumer
to point
behavior thing.
There are people that are never going to change, right? Like James P. White's old man died before he put on a seatbelt. I swear to God, like when they told him he had to wear a seatbelt, he said, screw that, and drove a business vehicle for White's Plumbing until the day he died and never plugged that seatbelt in. Like there are a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
There's some people that won't.
Yeah.
There's 34% of the people that are called late majority. Once over 50% of the people have it, then they go, okay, well, I guess it's a thing now. I'll get it. And then there's 16% the stragglers, who are the absolute last. finally to get it, and some don't. So it's basic consumer behavior, and you can apply it to any new technology. You can apply it to cell phones. You could apply it to new vaccine
you can apply
technology.
it to wiping your ass. You can apply that to wiping your ass. It's like, when you think you got it all and you wipe like a few times, and you get a little itchy about a half hour later, and you're like, I'm gonna go back in and make sure I got the whole thing. And you're like, man, I left a lot behind. I had no idea. It's the same thing. It's like, this is like, dude, you and I are like the fifth wipe.
So
you and
that's
I are
the carbon
fifth
tax.
wipe when it comes to this stuff.
I'm the shower guy. I gotta get into the
saying 100%.
shower to get rid of it.
Yep. So that's the carbon tax. Then you have the EI and CPP, right? Which they're all called because we all call them payroll taxes.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're deductions. Think of it. When you file your taxes and you look at your CPP and your EI, you get a tax credit for it. When you collect EI and CPP, you have to declare it on your taxes as income. You're taxed on it then, not when it comes off your check. It's not a tax.
I love it. I finally understand carbon tax. Like, I've been watching everybody throw these two words around like crazy. I've been hanging out with Locke a lot, and I'm influenced negatively by him all the time. So the other night we're on the phone, and he's like giving it to me about the carbon tax, and I'm like, yeah, fuck the carbon tax. And then all of a sudden Douglas comes on, and he's like, well, here's how it works. I'm like, oh, I get it. Don't fuck the carbon tax. And then in comes Locke, and he's like, it's still uncomfortable. I'm like, yeah, that's right, Locke. Fuck the carbon tax. But the way you've explained it makes perfect sense to me. And I think Locke's coming around to the idea because I don't know a better champion. I think you
carbon
are.
Tax.
No, I don't. Dude, here's how I know you work. This is how you work. You'll get told something and you'll hang on to the old trope as long as you can in public. But inside, you know what you're doing? You're going, I'm gonna go see if I can't get a deal on a Tesla and maybe see if I can
get that $5,000. Where does he fall? Where does he fall in that list? Where do you think, Douglas? Where does Lachlan fall in that list of adopters?
Probably late majority.
Late majority? Okay.
I would assume late majority.
And we're guys too. Guys are so stupid. It's incredible. I was saying this to a friend of mine who's a female today. She's like, are you going to call people names on your podcast? And I'm try not to. She's like, I said, but if I do and I get in trouble for it, it's a great learning experience, right? She's like, men only learn when they do what they're not supposed to do, and it goes incredibly poorly for them. And I'm like, you just explained me and Locke to a T. Absolutely.
Guilty as charged.
I guess, yeah.
And then the third one is the luxury tax.
Yes.
Right? Where they turn around, they say, oh, well, they'll just pass it down, trickle down the tax. Well, then you don't have a problem with luxury tax. What you have a problem is with people having the option of passing their tax on to someone else. So since the job of an opposition is not only to oppose, but to propose, why not propose an amendment of some kind that prevents that from happening?
They won't do it.
They're not doing that. They're not doing that. So again, I come back to the original question, which tax specifically is being raised? None.
That's right.
It's a lie.
It's a lie that's been perpetrated by little Pierre Poilievre.
But you can't explain it in 30 seconds. Yeah. But in 30 seconds, you can say the government's going to triple, and that fits into a soundbite.
That's right.
That's what he's doing. He's appealing to the social frustration.
Is it sort of like that Michelle Rimple Garner soundbite the other day where she's talking about how bread's more expensive because of the woke mob? Same thing. It's like any way we can figure a way to negativize something that's not negative, it's fucking go for it. Yeah.
Look 3,000 kilometers east and blame Ottawa. Let's
do it.
It's a basic scapegoat thing. It really works. So he's off on all those type things. Then inflation, right? He doesn't want anybody to do anything that will fuel inflation. Any money that government will add into the economy at this moment will fuel inflation.
Right.
The point is you have to put some money in so that the most vulnerable don't fall through the cracks, because homelessness, addiction, run-in with the law, crime will cost you more than actually, right? It all comes from different budget line items, but overall will end up costing you more than actually giving people a little bit of a hand up. Right? So he is opposed to doing anything that will increase inflation, but he's also opposed to doing anything that will help people with inflation. So he wants to cancel childcare.
Well, that's because he's just going to oppose everything. I mean, right?
Yeah. But he's basically saying that
you said it earlier, Douglas. You mentioned it. You said it. He has no cheat. like none. So the
No
only
cheese in
thing
the game.
he has
And-
going for him right now is just to get headlines for saying no to stuff that might upset people. That I mean, that's just a strategy. And the Liberals or the NDP in the same position would be doing exactly the same thing. For frick's sake, the Green Party does it. I mean, they all do
It's
it.
politics. Yeah, it's politics. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Welcome to politics. But here, the point is that he is opposed to anything, right, that will help people whatsoever, because you need to spend money to help people. The problem is that he's proposing tax cuts. Tax cuts also leave more money in your pocket, right? Add more money to the economy, thus fuel inflation. Anything a government does at this moment that will leave more money in your pockets or give, so whether it's a direct subsidy to you, as Trudeau and the Liberals are doing and the NDP wants to do and the Greens and the Bloc, or whether it is cutting taxes on something like tax limits, like taking 6 cents off the gas tax for 6 months, Scott Moe sending $500 checks, François Legault sending $500 checks, Doug Ford not charging you to renew your license fee. All of those are inflationary too. So Polievre is in this weird situation where he needs to explain, and nobody ever asks him the question, of course, because we're looking at the nanosecond current and not looking at the 30,000 foot view, is why is it that providing childcare and providing dental care is inflationary and is going to destroy the country, but François Legault, who's conservative, Doug Ford, who's conservative, Scott Moe, who is conservative, cutting $500 checks is not?
Seems hypocritical to me. It's what it seems
He's
like.
not calling out his friends.
Well, but his friends are doing that to buy votes, right? His friends are doing that to curry favor. You got a big election coming up in Saskatchewan. You got all kinds of people that are in trouble politically because of their leanings and who they're attached to. So, you know, those things are not warranted if the Liberals are going to do it. But if Conservatives do it to curry favor, it's totally cool and it's not inflationary. Fucking great. It's a great game that they play, right? This is
an absolute.
I go back to this all the time, and we kind of, you know, just to kind of sum it up. And I know we got to kind of wrap it up. We try to keep these to an hour and a half now, Douglas. But you know, the fascinating part for me is that, you know, as it relates to the things that we've discussed today, it's how do we pull the wool over people's eyes? How do we manipulate the general public? And it ain't just Polievre doing it. It ain't just the Conservatives doing it. We are being manipulated on a daily, weekly, hourly, minute-by-minute basis. And you know what? The one thing that all of us like Douglas has a very keen mind and a great intellectual, political mind, and he understands the ins and outs better than almost anybody here because he spent years in Ottawa doing this, helping with policy, understanding, helping with messaging, helping people understand what it was they were talking about from a political perspective, how to connect with people. So Douglas really understands, which is why I wanted him on the show to talk about this shit today. But the one thing that all of us agree on, Locke, you're in Alberta, you got a different political leaning. Ryan's got a different one. I don't have one. Paul, totally different leaning to Douglas, is that we all know what's going on here. They're playing us for suckers. They're playing all of us for suckers. They're ginning us up. They're pissing us off. They're telling us they're helping. It's dude, all of us are. And that's why it's really important not to be emotional when we talk about these things. And I know you get emotional about it, Locke, because the same reason why I find it funny.
I really try not to be emotional.
Well, no, but I love it because
it's doing well.
You're so conflicted. Like I get that coming out of you in a big bad way. It's like garlic breath. So it's like I want to do the right thing, but fuck, we're just trying to live our lives out here, and every time I turn around, there's a new tax and a new this, and it's when people tell us that this is what's going on, and we don't stop down to have these conversations about what's really happening, and what's really happening is this: we get lied to on a second by second basis in this country. Enjoy it.
Yes,
but here's the thing I want to leave you with is that. Remember when we had the previous conversation about voting for people who don't actually show contempt for the population, people that actually like you and are decent? Because with the conservative approach of doing this, because when all is said and done, you've gotten a bit of a tax cut and eventually it evaporates. When the Liberals are done, you have a national dental care program. You have a national child care program. You have an electric vehicle rebate program. You have a home energy, but you have things that are actually concrete that people can access and that will help them.
Woke shit.
With the conservatives, you are literally left with nothing. Once you've spent your carbon,
business
once you've
managed
spent
to
your
avoid
rebate,
$30
there's nothing
billion
left.
worth of taxes last year because of this federal government. So there's that as well. Right. I mean, Douglas, God love you. I understand it, but JT's got to go. But I don't necessarily think that the exception, the next guy in line, is going to do anything better. That's the thing that I think that Dean was. You know what? We are all playing the game. I went on Joe Guy the other day because I mean, we're just being scammed at every turn. As Canadians and anybody in a capitalist society, you're sitting there, you're just basically playing a part to make somebody more money. And the guys that are smart enough to manipulate the system they need us. They need dumb guys like me in the world that we live in so that they can just fucking crawl on top of us and get rid. And it doesn't even matter about political leanings because they're all doing it. Just some are way better laws and taxes that make it look like they're trying to do something. And it's so performative, it's not even funny. And it's at every level. They just announced some recycling programming here in Edmonton we don't need to get into, but it's all performative. It's just to give them to make them feel better about walking away without really handling all the issues, right? I mean, we're not even recycling the city and we're paying to recycle. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to stop because I'm going to get angry again.
I'm going to say you're closing in on sounding like a Occupy Wall Street protester there, Lachlan, talking about the capitalists fucking us all over.
Columbus for a couple months. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
Pretty much it.
What you've just mentioned, Lachlan, like this dovetails with the last one of the fascism things that I put in, which was called selective populism. It's populism, but it's not for everyone, right? What Pierre Poilievre is, he's picked out the segments of the population, and it's basically predatory politics. He's going to people who are worried, who are concerned, people that have family in Iran right now, and promising that he's going to fight for women, and he has Melissa Lantzman out there, stock photo lady, saying that she's going to fight for LGBTQ rights, but she completely forgot she was a lesbian during the convoy. Though she remembered she was Jewish, but she forgot she was a lesbian. And here we are. I'm so proud of her for fighting the regime. You're not fighting the regime. You're preying on Iranian Canadians who have family over there who are concerned and worried. When he's appealing to the Malay community, it's the same thing. What's going on in Malaysia? When he's talking about children staying in their parents' basement, he's preying on those people who are worried.
Incels.
He's preying on everybody. It's very selective populism for people who are already concerned, worried, and afraid, and he's pumping the political discourse with rhetorical fentanyl. Rhetorical fentanyl.
It's going to work.
It's promising people the moon and the stars.
It always works.
Like he's going to put the IGRC on an anti-terrorist list. Harper didn't do that in 2012. He only put the Quds Force because you can't put the entire
population,
because you're going to put people who are just conscripted in and consider them terrorists. You can't do it, and we don't have the money to monitor 10,000 people just from one country. He's basically hopium laced with political fentanyl. It's what he's doing. Any person he's appealing to is merely utilitarian. He's using them.
Why do you think he had these hashtags in all of his YouTube videos, dude? Like every 50 of them for 4 years. Why do you think the
most
Conservative
malleable
Party targets those guys?
Malleable.
And Jeremy McKenzie is the number one, right? As soon as he started talking about his wife, all of a sudden he's a loser, which reminds you of someone down south of us.
Yeah.
They're only useful to him until they're not.
Yeah, it's funny. I put a tweet out last night about Pierre. Now that he's all over the women's liberation movement in Iran, in the last 9 years, the word Iran came up in his timeline 4 times.
He doesn't even
prior to 2 weeks ago.
Well, dude, he
4
was
times in 9 years.
He was courting a toxic male white supremacy group with his MGTOW hashtag in all 50 of his videos. And then the next day he's like, let's stand up for the rights of women in Iran, not the rights of women here, because what he was doing is trying to attach his shit to a male white supremacy group. Like, I mean, it's fucking bizarre, and it just shows the duplicity with which this whole thing is treated and how that guy is. But fucking fascinating shit.
So when you're looking at the whole forest and not just the tree and connect the dots, you see how everything's inconsistent and it doesn't fit together. What he says one day is in complete opposition to something he says the other day.
Exactly.
So the question is always how, right? You know, stop the gatekeeper, stop building houses. How?
There's never a solution. There's never ever a solution tabled. Never.
Never.
Locke, to your point, and your shirt, dumb is winning. That is Douglas from the True North Eager Beaver podcast. He is your Eager Beaver today at True Eager on Twitter, True North Eager Beaver on anywhere you get your podcast. Mr. Grizzly, Mr. Beaver, one of my favorite political podcasts, bite-sized chunks, great conversations, very entertaining and very weird, which is why I love it. Douglas, thank you so much for doing this. It is really great to see you. Really appreciate you helping us break that down today. And we'll
Thank
talk
you,
to
Douglas.
soon.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Douglas.
Douglas Connors, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey,
Awesome guy.
Yeah, no, I got to tell you,
Fine.
I understand it. I don't like it either.
It's not. I agree with Lachlan on his idea of if we put 100 people in the room, that's actually a really good way to put it. But the problem is they've tried. They've put those incentives out. We're not doing it. They got to do something, man, because we're fucking on fire. Like, we are on fire, and a lot of governments aren't taking it seriously.
I think that's a big part of my frustration, right? Like,
and I hate the fact that this isn't a world thing. Like, it's not happening. Like China doesn't give a fuck what we're doing. They're going to put out they put out propaganda that they're doing all these things and they're not. But it feels like, okay, well, we're a drop in the bucket, and I get it. But what if we don't? What if we just said, well, no one else is doing it? At least we fucking tried. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is either, man. It sucks.
I do. I know what the answer is.
What's that?
More turd tornado.
Turdy tornado. Oh, excuse me.
Greenhouse gas right there, baby.
Turdy tornado. Oh, excuse me.
That's my
He's so polite.
The old turd tornado. That's my answer to everything.
At least he's polite.
End off a really serious heater with a guy farting, and everything's all right again. Thanks, Lock the Cross, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton.
It's a good one today. I'm going to go get a drink.
All right. You can listen to it every weekday morning on the morning show called The Locker Room, 957 cruisefm.ca. Great radio station. One of Canada's best rock and roll radio station, and he hosts Canada's best rock and roll radio morning show. So make sure you give him a listen. That is my friend Ryan Lindley. Lynn's Report, name of his podcast. You can get it anywhere you get your fine podcasts as well. Give him a follow on those podcast socials, and also give him a follow on Twitter at Ryan Lindley. Thanks for doing this, dude. Great to see you
tomorrow, man.
Anytime. There you go. Lynn's, I call him. Lynn's. Lock and Lynn's. Have a great day, everybody. Really appreciate you being here. And thanks to Douglas from True North Eager Beaver. That was great. Download his podcast, the True North Eager Beaver podcast. He pretends to be Mr. Beaver. The other guy pretends to be Mr. Grizzly. And they go through the political order of the day, and it's actually fucking great. So make sure you give him a follow, give him a listen, and follow Paul, too, Blue Jacket Guy, at Paulie's World on Twitter. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Thanks so much. And don't forget, you can follow us wherever you get your podcasts, including watching this live on YouTube, Dean Blundell Show on YouTube. If you'd like to give us a follow, we'd appreciate it. You can also rate and respond or review or whatever the fuck that is. But a nice review is always nice. And a nice thumbs up is always good. Always helps, right? Also, do us a favor. If you can, follow us on Twitch, Dean Blundell TV there as well. And thanks to our friends and sponsors at kivlaw.ca. If you're looking for legal defense, good legal defense, contact the best defense team in all of Southern Ontario by emailing my friend Rob from Kivlaw Defense Lawyers. Go to kivlaw.ca or robert@kivlaw.ca. Listen, sometimes you do dumb shit. You want to give yourself every opportunity to learn from that and get out of it. Rob's your guy, robert@kivlaw.ca. Also, Ed's Fine Imports. His Gitch we wear, so can you. Luxury boxer briefs, pouch in the front. Doesn't get any better, more breathable, more comfortable. The only thing that that's pretty much the only thing I wear. I don't wear any other wear. None. I don't want other pair. I had some Saks for a while, got rid of those. Don't need them anymore. Gitch is it. I swear to God, I'm an underwear guy too. So you'll trust me when I tell you you'll love them. Swear to God. I swear to God. People actually say that when they're not telling the truth. I hear. Swear to God, or like when they say I'm telling you the truth. So listen, this is just a fact. Best underwear I ever owned. Everybody I've turned on to him loves him. And he'll send you a free pair when you use promo code GITCH3. So go and order today. edsfineimports.com. GITCH3 is your promo code. Buy 3, get 1 for free. edsfineimports.com. And of course, our friends at Easy Auto Financial, making it easy for you to get in a car. If you need some financing, these are your people. They're my people too. You can use them all the time. If you're looking for a brand new vehicle, I'm in the market for a Subaru, by the way. I've decided I'm going to go full hippie. I want to drive a Subaru. Haven't read a bad review. Not one. Zero bad reviews. Everything's good. So I'm going to get my car through easyautofinancial.ca. No obligation. Financing is free. It's all turnkey. They take care of all the details. Absolutely everything from A to B. Make sure you use them. They don't care about your credit rating. They just basically get the job done. Financing ninjas that want you to buy a brand new vehicle and want to help you make it as easy as humanly possible. Go to Easy Auto Financial for more details today. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Sorry, our chat kind of broke halfway through the show. Shit happens. Can't control it. We just move on. Good advice for the rest of the day. If you can't control it, grab the smooth handle. Don't grab the rough handle. Google smooth and rough handles. You'll see what I'm saying. But have a great day. Be kind to everybody. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the program around 4 o'clock. Bye.